I believe that the death of the CD would be a good thing, because the thing is you have the physical limitation of the CD. And honestly, it's such a strange case, because you have the MP3 put into a physical format and then extracted as an MP3 when you assimilate it into something like a computer. And the problem with keeping the CD as a physical format in and of itself, it's just a physical presentation of an MP3 that's inferior to something like a tape or vinyl, where the sound waves are analog, and it's 100% reproduction of what the original sound is like, whereas it's physically impossible for your digital sound waves to be 100% of what the original is, because you know the format of digital sound waves, they're always bit rated, and they're always to some degree where it's like 99.99999, but it's at a level to where it's never 100% like analog is. And I'm surprised I haven't seen the death of the CD come earlier, because the advantages of MP3 obviously outweigh the CD. And the thing about it, in comparison to the other physical formats, is that, you know, it just lacks, because, you know, with the vinyl, you have amplified artwork size. Like on a CD, you have, like, you know, I guess like 5x5, you think? Well, anyway, you have a way smaller space, to whereas like on a vinyl record, it's about 11.5 by 11.5 of printing space for the album cover to be seen. And you just have the advantages of analog versus digital. Now, in terms of the sales of these things, I expect CDs to fall. And I've seen CDs fall. And I'd like to continue to see CDs fall, because obviously the advantages of them and the whole premise of them are really dead, especially with the advent of MP3s and computers. Now, in terms of the physical sale of physical records or physical tapes, I expect that to rise, because there's fans out there who will keep to that, and they'll be consistent, and they always stick to the true formats, at least. And it would be sad to see the day that those formats go out. And the thing is with the advent of the MP3 distribution, you have people who can't buy records, and they'll just have to hear it through that format. And the thing is you'll have people like that who will eventually be like, I like this song, or I like this band so much that I would like to physically invest into buying the record or buying the physical format. And they'll stick to it by doing that. Like me personally, like what I had done is they had Death Grips release Ex-Military as a free MP3 file or a free folder on a file sharing website. And I had downloaded it, but I had become such a big fan that I decided to buy the record when they had the press put out, because that was independent press, and I was like, man, I ain't ever gonna be able to get that ever again. And like, just the premise of supporting the artist who's worth their time and effort through a physical format purchase, you know, you can't beat it. And the thing is when people who are worth their time and effort invest into a physical format, like vinyl and tape, they're worth their time, because they know exactly where they're going, and they know exactly how the whole thing works out. And they're just playing it smart. Like me personally, I think the best move that any artist can make right now is what Death Grips is doing, because they have the free distribution through MP3s, and you'll be able to have a broader audience get connected through that. And when you have that broader audience, you have more chances to influence people into being like, oh my god, this is awesome, you know? And they'll realize it's worth the time and effort to go out and purchase. And I would rather see that kind of power put out of companies like Walmart and Kmart, you know, any kind of mart, anything with the ink after it, anybody who's like, oh, we're so big that, you know, we can put thousands of other small businesses out of business and not care because all we want is profit. But anyway, like, I would like to see more distribution among independent artists, and even to like smaller companies, like local stuff, like your local record salesman or saleswomen, whatever. But like those types of people will know to stick with that because they know the true fans will stick to that kind of style. Whereas places like the big corporations, they'll be like, oh, well, people want MP3s and people want CDs all the time, so let's stick to that. And they won't hold any permanence to it. They just want money. They really don't care about the music, you know? So, yeah, I'd basically like to see the fall of the CD because it has so many advantages. And that's pretty much it. Like, I hate to kind of put you down on being a fan of CDs. It's just that, like, my opinion is that they like the advantages of MP3s outweigh CDs, and I'm more of a fan of vinyl and tape. Now, if you have vinyl and tape, I saw your vinyl collection earlier. I respected that. That was real cool. It's just like I quit buying CDs years ago because I looked at the situation and I'm like, this ain't worth it. Like I have like 200 CDs sitting on a shelf collecting dust right now because they're all in this thing, you know. But anyway, it's like it has outweighed advantages, and it's just much better. I like the situation right now because it just plays in everybody's favor. I don't think you should get your hopes down about the situation because you have alternatives, and the situation isn't as bad as one would think it is. Like there's usually alternatives with the small places, but there's even bigger alternatives like Amazon and eBay, to where the power of independent distribution is even at a physical level and in the hands of people who really get it. Like, this is the thing. It is such a revolution to have something like eBay, because right now I could go online, I can search for something as rare as like Conrad Schnitzler's Connell album, or I can look up something as rare as Warning's 1982 album, you know, and I'd be able to find it. It might be a foreign import, and sometimes they might not even have it, but like the chances of finding it in an environment like that are way higher than if I was limited to the potential of a local record store. Because for one, I can guarantee you that a guy would be like, who the fuck is Conrad Schnitzler and Warning, you know? But on the internet, it's be like, oh, well, there's 1,000 reviewers who heard of Conrad Schnitzler, and there's a handful of people who heard of Warning, but they know where to get the records. And it basically puts the power into the people's hands. I'd like to see a rise in that, but hey, your best bet, man. You can't get your hopes down because, you know, there's better alternatives, and the situation isn't as bad as you'd think it'd be. On that, though, I hope you do find a place to where you can be like, you know, that gives you new hope. Because I'd hate to see people, especially heavy music fans, you know, they're just put down by the way things look as of late. But I can guarantee that there's going to be better opportunities, especially with just the way the situations are right now, or the situation is right now. On that, though, good luck, man, and keep it up. I like your videos.